Ms Lennon, please.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I'm pleased to be speaking in this Stage 1 debate on the Human Tissue Authorisation Scotland Bill. And like other colleagues, I also want to thank the Health and Sport Committee for its diligent work and reports ably summarised by the convener Lewis MacDonald just a few minutes ago. And I'm grateful to the British Heart Foundation, the Royal College of Physicians of Edinburgh, the Royal College of Nursing, the Anti-Nolan Trust and Kidney Care UK for their briefings ahead of the debate. Scottish Labour supports the general principles of this bill and its overarching aim to increase the organ and tissue donation rate and consequently the number of transplants that can be carried out. Scottish Labour has long been supportive of a soft opt-out system, and I would also like to thank my colleague Mark Griffin for his influence on this agenda through his Members' Bill in 2016, and prior to this, Anne McTaggart's work on her Members' Bill in 2015. And I look forward to hearing from Mark Griffin and other colleagues this afternoon. With 500 people on the organ transplant list at any one time in Scotland, and up to 60 people each year dying while on this list, there certainly is a need to increase the number of donated organs. So I'm pleased that there is public support for a soft opt-out system, demonstrated in the Scottish Government's consultation and the committee survey. That said, I think we're all alive to some concerns that have been raised about the move to a soft opt-out. Some people expressed a worry that people will have organs removed against their wishes. However, it is important to highlight that people can still opt in and opt out of the system, as we have always been able to do so. For people who have not declared, consent would be presumed, but there are safeguards in place. For example, next of kin can provide information if this was known to be against their family's wishes. I'll take a brief intervention.
Mike Rumble.
As I said earlier to the Minister, that is the law as it stands. The law that stands now in the 2006 Act says they must provide knowledge of the deceased person's intent. But the bill in Section 7 actually says that they must provide evidence to a health worker that would convince a reasonable person. It's quite a different step change in providing evidence in legal terms.
Monica Lennon.
Thank you. Well, I've been reassured by the committee's scrutiny and the reassurance that we've had from government that there are appropriate and robust safeguards. And I'll come on to talk about the public education aspect, which is so important. But fundamentally, it's crucial that we get these things right, because people who are on the transplant waiting list urgently need help. Organ transplants do save lives and can make a transformational change to a person's quality of life. For example, Kidney Care UK described dialysis as distressing, extremely painful, and it can be hugely disruptive to daily life, with 5-hour dialysis sessions 3 times a week, challenging for people in rural areas. I'm sure Mike Rumbles knows that. So a kidney transplant can really give a person their life back. The committee heard that the wait for a transplant can be a lonely experience, and it can take a huge toll on someone's mental health. It must be anxious waiting to find a suitable organ, and then there's disappointment where delays and complications arise, even on the day of surgery. So returning to the transplant waiting list can be a source of disappointment and anxiety. While people are on the waiting list, I recognise the committee's recommendation to improve this experience for people where possible, for example, by having specialists who are there to provide support. It is crucial that this bill is backed by clear and consistent messaging throughout Scotland so that people understand the system, and crucially to spark conversations about organ donation. The BMA have said that whilst half of the population have opted into organ donation, their experience is that when asked, 9 out of 10 people say that they would donate their organs. So deemed consent will help to close this gap. And I hope we can all agree that a person desperately waiting on an organ transplant, which could be the difference between life and death, shouldn't miss out simply because many of us never got round to opting in to be an organ donor. And the convener touched briefly on the work of the Anti-Nolan Trust with the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service. That's an excellent partnership, especially working with young people in our schools. And since 2009, 13,000 people in Scotland have registered on the stem cell donor register, and potentially that's saved 42 lives. So this is fantastic work that I hope that the government can help these organisations to build on. because the importance of public awareness and frank conversations is brought into sharp focus when we consider that family refusal results in the loss of around 100 donors in Scotland per year, which could make a huge difference to people on the transplant waiting lists. It might not be an easy conversation to have, and it might feel morbid to discuss it, but it is important we overcome this stigma and make our wishes known to our loved ones. I was moved by the stories from families where organ donation has been a positive experience and even helped them to come to terms with their loss. And just recently, I was walking our dog in Chatler Country Park in Hamilton, and there's a bench that I've passed a number of times, but I knew this debate would be coming up, and it's a tribute to Lanarkshire's organ donors, and it's very poignant, and there's flowers, as you expect, and little plaques on the bench, but it simply says to remember those who gave the gift of a lifetime. So I'm pleased to hear about the measures currently in place for the families of the deceased, where they get a certificate, and that must be hugely important and meaningful, because it is a very extraordinary gift. An additional benefit of good public awareness is that evidence suggests that it will help drive up donation rates. While the soft opt-out system is important, the BME and others have highlighted that a change in legislation is not a panacea and must be accompanied by investment in the infrastructure to support delivery, and others have touched on that in terms of intensive care capacity and so on. In conclusion, Presiding Officer, Scottish Labour supports the general principles of this bill and look forward to working with others to bring forward amendments. Organ donation is one of the greatest gifts a person can give, and it's life-changing to receive. It's important that this bill maintains a special nature in which it is viewed, and surrounding measures must be implemented to help ensure its success. Thank you.